Now, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold gives $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury General account. And
Right.
Janet wouldn't even need to get a vote of Congress, just instruct Jerome Powell to do this. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but to me, it really isn't. It's much easier path than outright default or outright hyperinflation to revalue the gold. Why could gold not be at $135,000? If it were, as insane as that sounds, our debt, our balance sheet would go from putrid to pristine just like that, and our assets would offset our liabilities. This is something that I think is possible.
The BRICS Plus alliance recently concluded its 16th annual summit in Kazan, Russia, marking the first BRICS summit with Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates as new members, following their induction at last year's summit. One of the notable developments was the introduction of BRICS Pay, a new payment system designed to enable seamless transactions and financial data exchanges between the central banks of BRICS nations, serving as a strategic alternative to the Western-backed SWIFT system. This multicurrency platform aims to integrate digital financial assets with traditional financial networks, reducing reliance on the US dollar, according to Russian Finance Minister Anton Siluanov. During the summit, Siluanov commented, "This payment system will allow the replacement of banking organizations on one hand. On the other hand, it will include a system for transmitting financial messages." In a recent interview with Paul Barron, Andy Schectman, president of Miles Franklin, discussed this new payment system as a key step in a broader BRICS strategy toward a new world order, where the West no longer unilaterally defines financial standards, and fiat currencies no longer hold a distorted role as money. Schectman envisions a system in which commodities will emerge as the strongest form of currency globally. He also predicts that the BRICS Plus alliance could lead to a significant revaluation of precious metals, particularly gold and silver, an outcome he argues would benefit heavily indebted countries like the United States, which now carries over $35 trillion in national debt. Schectman is optimistic that gold prices could soar to $135,000 per ounce when this revaluation occurs, allowing global leaders to reset the financial system securely and efficiently and avoid a widespread collapse. As we share clips from Andy Schectman's interview, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell for more content like this. Thank you for your support, and enjoy the video.
What's going on at the BRICS Summit is kind of being held close to the vest, but I would say there are a couple of things that are sticking out to me. Everyone is talking about Project Enbridge, and certainly that is being discussed, and I'm sure we'll chat about that. But there are a couple things that I think, from a marketing standpoint, I guess you could say, it's as if they're trying to market certain information to the West. And to me, what they're trying to market to the West are kind of outwardly showing that they have their you-know-what together, that they're joined together in unity. And I say that we've seen, for example, the discussion of Xi Jinping and Modi today are meeting on the sideline for their first bilateral meeting since 2022. That's one thing. I think they're trying to show the world that, look, we are putting our differences aside as a group, and that gives stability. Certainly, that's something encouraging from the standpoint of growing unity and a growing group of countries. Secondly, we talk about BRICS Pay. BRICS Pay is something that is more for the individual, whereas Enbridge is more for the countries trading in commodities, as an example, and settling in what amounts to a gold-backed settlement currency. The BRICS Pay would be more like, let's call it, a monetary passport, to use Vince Lance's terminology. I agree with that. It's these people want to go into one of the other BRICS countries, and they're able to use their BRICS Pay app, whether it be a credit card or on their phone, that allows them to seamlessly transact in these countries without having to convert first and foremost, and all of the difficulty in doing so in countries where it might be difficult to exchange your currency very efficiently. So they're getting all their ducks in a row, all the way down to settling retail transactions with public And I think this is one of the deals where we have to understand that I don't expect anything to come out of this meeting groundbreaking, yet it is a trend that is certainly gaining an accelerated, coordinated group of countries that are moving in the direction, I guess you could say, critical mass, a direction that will be very difficult to challenge, as is, Paul. They already represent a much larger swath of human population, of
Right.
global GDP, of military might, three of the four largest nuclear arsenals, of trade routes, of commodity production, of commodity refining. It's a situation that is certainly should not be underestimated. And it will be interesting when they come out with some sort of a recap, probably on Friday, of what indeed did transpire. We do know that there's at least 30 countries there that have already expressed interest, or delegates from 13 countries that have expressed interest in joining or have fully applied, on top of the other countries that are already full members. So it's an interesting growing trend that I don't think we've even begun to see what it really amounts to. The whole premise of Enbridge, first and foremost, is for countries to trade their central bank digital currencies, local trade with one another,
Right.
over a system that is not affected by SWIFT. And what this will do is incentivize these countries to keep their monetary homes and houses in order. The unit token itself says not more than 30% of any one currency will comprise the basket. So they've taken some of these things into consideration in terms of dominance, and the actual unit token itself is a fractal of the entire unit holding. So as things have to be adjusted primarily in the currencies, see, everything is a percentage as it relates to gold, and it's tied to gold. So as things have to be readjusted, they don't have to be readjusted on the actual tokens themselves, because the tokens represent a fractal of the entire unit. Will just automatically adjust. But as far as I've been told, no, at first, although it may be after, this will be a system that is designed primarily for the state and not for the individual.
At the BRICS Leaders Summit on October 23rd in Kazan, Russian President Vladimir Putin introduced an ambitious proposal: a BRICS-exclusive platform for trading precious metals and diamonds to counter the effects of over-regulation in these markets. Putin noted that excessive trade restrictions hinder the market, explaining, "We see the feasibility in creating a separate BRICS platform for precious metals and for diamonds. This market is indeed excessively regulated by various trade barriers in circumvention of the universal certification scheme of the Kimberley process." The Kazan Declaration, released during the summit, reinforced BRICS nations' dedication to expanding precious metals trade among members, emphasizing unified quality standards. As the declaration stated, "We support efforts to increase the turnover of precious metals within BRICS based on common quality standards." In his interview with Barron, Andy highlights that these moves may signal an imminent revaluation of precious metals like gold and silver. He suggests that countries like China and Russia will continue accumulating large quantities of gold, taking advantage of Western efforts to suppress precious metals prices until they're ready to unveil their full strategy. Before that tipping point, Andy foresees gold reaching $3,100 per ounce in the coming weeks, with potential long-term highs of $10,000 to $15,000 per ounce. Now, let's dive back into the video.
Within the next 12 months, it becomes easier to follow the commercial bank verbiage and projections of 3,100 by this time next year, which I think is conservative. The money supply has increased 14-fold since 1980, and when you look at gold and silver and the way that it's traded currently in London and on the COMEX, I think these countries are using the suppression of the paper markets to their advantage, to accumulate it in copious amounts. The reason they're not complaining about the massive leverage on the LBMA, where twice global mine supply is traded every single day. In silver, it's 3.5 times annual global mine supply every day. Most of these contracts are naked short. This suppression has been done for a very long time to inspire confidence in the Western system, the bond market and the currency, and they've held down the monetary metals. And it's unquestionable when you dig deep into the naked short positions on both the LBMA and COMEX that this is the case. And the rest of these countries have been using that suppression against us by massively accumulating it and repatriating it. And I guess I keep coming back to the fact that I truly do believe that they all have intentions of revaluing gold ultimately. If you're going to tie gold to a system, whether it only be 40% or more, it
You're
has
right.
to be at a much higher level. And, ironically, in every single central bank balance sheet across the globe, gold is held in what is called the gold revaluation account. Roosevelt did it in 33 when he confiscated gold and then devalued the dollar by 40%, pushing the gold price from 20 to 35. And you have, like I said, the head of the Dutch National Bank who keeps saying, look, we have 20 billion in euro in gold at $35 an ounce. We should just revalue the price of gold and put it up to a level commensurate to offset our liabilities. I look to Cynthia Loomis at the Bitcoin conference in Tennessee, where she said, look, after Trump got up and said we should have a strategic account with Bitcoin, she said yes, and I'm going to draft a bill that requests that the gold held by the Federal Reserve on behalf of the Treasury be revalued. Now, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold gives $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury General account, and
Right.
Janet wouldn't even need to get a vote of Congress. Just instruct Jerome Powell to do this. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but to me, it really isn't. It's much easier path than outright default or outright hyperinflation to revalue the gold. And look, as nuts as this sounds, but it really isn't. It shouldn't be from your camp because, when you talk about Bitcoin, people have no problem seeing it at 150,000 or 300,000 or $1 million. Why could gold not be at $135,000? If it were, as insane as that sounds, our debt, our balance sheet would go from putrid to pristine just like that, and our assets would offset our liabilities. This is something that I think is possible. Now, on a microcosm scale, you see the Shanghai Metals Exchange has been pricing silver between 10 and 15% higher than it is on the West.
Yeah.
That is what the price is if you're able to buy it in the West and deliver it to China. If the Treasury said, look, we'll pay $135,000 to any nation that wants to deliver their gold to the Treasury, it indeed is that price. Now, are they going to do it to that level? Probably not. But when you see gold going to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 as a revaluation on behalf of the Western central banks and the BIS that reclassified it as the only other tier one asset, I will tell you that I do believe if it is going to be the cornerstone of this new monetary system, and it looks like it will be, at least as far as the unit, as far as the BIS, and not so sure yet here in the West, but when you see a senator from Wyoming say that, to me, it's on the table. And I think it will go higher than anyone thinks possible.
Bank of America is advising traders and central banks to boost their gold holdings as the U.S. faces mounting risks tied to its swelling debt. In a recent report, the bank's strategists highlighted how skyrocketing debt levels are putting treasuries under pressure, making gold an increasingly attractive safe haven asset. The report states, gold looks to be the last safe haven asset standing, incentivizing traders, including central banks, to increase exposure. Bank of America forecasts that gold could climb to $3,000 per ounce, representing an 11% increase in value. The analysts caution that concerns over the U.S. debt path and rising interest payments, which are set to consume an ever larger share of GDP, could drive more interest in gold. They argue that if markets become hesitant to absorb higher levels of debt and volatility picks up, gold may emerge as the asset of choice. With a lack of fiscal restraint expected as the U.S. heads into the next presidential election, the analysts suggest U.S. debt could reach record highs, further increasing interest payments. Ultimately, something has to give. If markets become reluctant to absorb all the debt and volatility increases, gold may become the asset of choice, they concluded. Please share your thoughts, comments, and observations on the video in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications bell for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.